Oh, hello.
Oh, hello.
How's everybody doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Living the dream.
How you doing?
Long time no see, everybody.
Yeah.
Well, we're joined back once again with our common cohorts, myself, Bobby Salas, and Mike Monaco, right next to me, Bob the Kosh Koshignano, and Jeff Zintek. Sorry. How are you guys doing?
Good. I gotta point something out today. I don't know if this is gonna work or not, but this is important. This is a day in history. Okay.
Oh man,
Very important day in history.
Oh,
okay.
I remember
for all you kids that go to MTV, they actually used to play music videos.
Okay.
I thought I saw something where one of the original VJs, Kurt something, is like 78.
78, bro.
As of like 3 days ago. It's like, oh my God.
Okay, so I'll give you guys, here's your nerds. Everybody knows the first song on MTV. What was it?
Video killed the radio star.
Killed the radio star.
By
the Boggles.
The Boggles. Now name number 2 and 3.
Flock of Seagulls.
Nope.
No, it wasn't.
It was top 4.
It was Pat Benatar.
Pat Benatar was number 2.
I can't remember the name of the song.
Rod Stewart was number 3 with She Wouldn't Dance With Me, and then The Who with You Better Bet.
That's it. Yep.
So a little bit of nerd kingdom. That's my forte. But anyway, we got to pay the bills because if you players out there want to go to Baltimore, we need to keep bringing in the money, and we are bringing on, as you can see right over there, first responder training enterprises. I'm reading below it and above it. Yes, there you go. Perfect. That is our good friend Ron Huffman, making seriously the best propane products out there. If you want good propane stuff, you go to Ron.
He's the man.
He's the guy. Honestly, I call him up about propane stuff, and the guy is just a wealth. Even not even his products, his commitment to the scene. He is a guy that will give you a cell phone. You can call him at any time, and he will give you the straight scoop on how to do whatever the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, he's not afraid of custom.
He was just dealing something with propane and ammonia mixture and some bobtails or something the other day.
Yeah, he does.
He did a modified 2-stack kind of thing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So
what's going on out there in Eastern land? I mean, the Western land. Sorry, we're in the Eastern. You're in the Western. Jay-Z.
That's you, Jay-Z.
Oh, yeah, we're just trying to survive this heat. You know.
But it's a dry heat.
It's been rough, but
a dry heat also cooks Thanksgiving dinner. So
yeah, but it happens every summer, so we just deal with it and just keep moving along. We just gotta.
I love it.
Just gotta
look at that. We're popping some comments in here. There you go.
Oh,
nice. Look at that.
That's not. Well, listen, we're not.
Not amateur.
No, this is good stuff.
Big league.
What about you, Bob? I heard it's a million degrees down in Florida.
Yeah, we had the hot wall of water as you walk outside with the 100% humidity every day, feeling like it's 107. And then today we're experiencing some of Jeff's dry heat. And both cases, I just want to stay the hell inside.
Nice. I walked out today and I was surveying the area, and it's beautiful out here today. It was just completely gorgeous. So
I loved it.
I hate you guys.
I will. So we're going to kind of drop a bomb right now. We've been working quietly. Obviously, everything's been going very well for us. We brought on a full-time employee, our first full-timer, Brian Kayak from formerly of First Line Technologies, and now he is with us full-time. And we are doing a enormous survey with some major outputs. In fact, one of the things you get
a little closer.
Oh, poker chip.
Focus. Okay. So this is absolutely free if you just fill out a survey. Plus, you get a complete tutorial of the way that the FDNY does contaminated bunker gear removal. Complete course on how to do it, plus all the supporting documents. So,
wow, that's a win-win.
Yeah. And it's a survey on what the community wants, because I wouldn't be so bold as to assume what everybody wants and put out products based upon that. So we're going to ask you what you want, and then we're going to build what you want. Why waste time and effort on things that are stupid?
Right. Just tell us.
And
we're going to do it.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea, actually.
Yeah.
So
great model.
Yeah. I mean, my girlfriend's always saying, you don't listen to me. And I'm like, that's a weird way to start a conversation. But I think in this instance, we could actually turn around and listen to what's happening.
So
why did we think of that?
See?
Yeah, right? Damn it, Jeff.
But enough about that stuff. What about Hazmat? That's what they're here for.
Oh, that's right. Hazmat.
All right, we got two pretty big stories. One is local to you, Kosh, and one is probably more local to Jay-Z out on the West Coast. Do you kind of want to, which one do you want to queue up first?
I don't care. Dealer's choice.
Well, I think the one that's been kind of catching the buzz is the one that was on the West Coast. That is the lab that was found in California.
Weird.
Yeah.
What was it?
What do we got? Go ahead, Bobby.
No, go, please. It was like a BSL lab that they had in like the middle of like nowhere.
This was, so apparently, allegedly, we always got to start off with that, right? This company was doing all kinds of biotesting in the Fresno area to include COVID testing on rats and some herpes testing and just a variety of biological testing. And I guess their original laboratory caught fire. They relocated to, I think what's it called? Reading, California, if I remember right.
Yeah, Reedy or Reedley?
Yeah, something like that, Reedy. And they never like checked in. They didn't pull permits or whatever. And it just so happened that somebody, a inspector, was walking by, or somebody made a call, and they saw this garden hose going through a drilled out hole in the concrete block, and like, that's not supposed to be there. And when they went there, they found all the pictures you're seeing now.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, dead rats, all the vials you see, the bottles you see, boxes and boxes of materials, needles. I mean, just a hodgepodge of stuff.
So, real question, and I'll put this out to the group too. If you throw something in, how many? Again, this is not a political thing, but how many undercover BSLs do you think are operating in the United States that are of another flag without any knowledge?
Ooh.
Oh, I'm gonna conservatively say 2 dozen.
I would say it's pretty close. Where I would think
2 dozen flags, that is.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, not 2 dozen labs.
2 dozen
2
labs.
dozen
Like,
flags.
Okay.
No. I haven't been drinking that much yet.
We got an email today talking about wanting to create a.
We did.
I won't go into the specifics because we're still working on it, but they specifically mentioned a Chinese lab in their area, like a legit Chinese biolab.
Yeah.
And it kind of like makes you go, wait a second, why are there Chinese labs on American soil? Like, how is this possible? Is this really happening?
Well, that's what this lab was.
Yeah. So
this was a Chinese lab.
But it
was operating illegally, right? Are you talking? You're talking.
I think their frontage was something about they were making COVID tests and pregnancy tests. That was their front end business. But in the back end, they had like 900 mice and 730 of them had to be euthanized because there was genetic mutations going on. And there was some fugazi stuff. And that's a very New York term, right?
Totally.
But like, you know, the funny thing is like, as a technician, I understand everybody's saying, oh, well, you should do your pre-plan. You should go out and check out your first 2 district and stuff like that. But there's stuff out there that you never even heard about. Things that can be set up under the cover of night because, the guy's paying the landlord cash and, there's no markings on the outside and things happen. The only reason why you know about it is because something went past their capabilities.
Right.
Right. Well, and that's what happened with us with the building that blew up in downtown Orlando. The guy was making a green gas called carbohydrolium and had it in an acetylene pack, and it blew the whole place up. We had no idea, and we tried to inspect it for 5 years and could never get in.
Right, because as an inspector, you don't actually have access to private property. Like, it's really just, for the most part, a consideration that you're let in. We've been denied plenty of times walking through the front door where it's like, no, we don't. I mean, it's search and seizure, right? You have the right to deny that. So in reality, it's not an inspector's fault. It's not the government. It's just we're free for the most part to do shit like this, and bad people do bad things, or sometimes malicious people, or not malicious people, or someone who's honestly just trying to make ends meet and not have the ability to just get bogged down in the system, just trying to do something.
Right.
There was it's quite a few years ago, but and it just adds a little spike to it. I encourage everybody out there to check out the YouTube video called Operation Green Cloud, which was an NYPD ESU and company sting, where they set up. They didn't even try. They just set up a false company. They used a stolen credit card, and they bought like dozens of cylinders of chlorine gas, and it was just dropped off in Brooklyn. Like, no signature, no nothing. Check out that video. I'm telling you, this kind of stuff, and I kudos to the NYPD. I know there's a couple of guys in the crowd right now, but like, they did what we all thought.
Yeah. I don't think they were very unique in the operation name. I think it's like Operation Green Cloud. Like,
it is. It's Operation Green Cloud.
I think they could come up with something a little more,
Yeah, like foot cheese or something like that. Yeah,
do something unique where we got to like think about it.
Jeez.
What does foot cheese have to do with this?
Hey, fangula.
So if you are a hazmat team in this situation, regardless of what, operating illegally or non-illegally or whatever, what are some concerns? What do you guys think? How would you approach something like this?
Well, I think you gotta start off with the macro view, right? Like, is there anything there that can reach out and touch us from a distance? Work your way in, figure out, as you go along, PPE, chemicals, what you have, what the potentials are, and you got to be thinking biological, decontamination the whole way. Like, wouldn't just be enough if it's a biolab to just get it off of you. You got to make sure that you're oxidizing, those agents properly, and you're doing a proper decon so you don't walk out with anything. So
I'm gonna take it from a different look for 1 second. That first arriving unit that gets whatever the call is, a weird odor, whatever the case, but a first arriving non-hazmat tech unit pulls up, walks in the door, and some of the pictures that are out there, it looks like a hoarder type situation with all the boxes and all the stuff they just had all over the place. There's one where you just see boxes and boxes and boxes. Yeah, there you go. And to walking in as a first new company, I'm just thinking it's a hoarder room,
dude.
Unless I had some kind of hazmat background.
I have been in warehouses like this picture right now that were like car detail places and stuff like that. So this wouldn't key me in on anything.
Right. Exactly.
But I will say, as soon as my spidey senses come up and I say something's not right here, this is beyond a initial operations team, you almost got to say, okay, enough, stop. I know I want to investigate, and I'm tough as stuff. I'm Conan the fireman, and I want to keep walking forward. But at the same time, you're like, this is beyond me. You have to say that. And there's no shame in that.
But the real question would be, if I think about it from like an operations point of view, you walk in, whatever the reason, you're going to walk in and think there's anything wrong with that? Like, what I'd really need to like know or see or understand what it is that they turned around and went, oh, no. Like, we got to call Hazmat, because just looking at those stock rooms, you're kind of like Bob said, like, I've seen a million stores that look just like that. That's pretty much everybody in New York City that has stock for their, for their business. It looks just like that. So what was it that triggered them to be like, okay, no, this is not good?
I think it was the garden hose. Yeah,
the garden hose.
It looked like
that was it. A garden hose?
I think it was the all the mice that were in the back end. They said it was in inhumane conditions, which whatever. But they were all they were doing experiments on them. So in that respect alone, plus the dead ones, right there, I think that should send off something. I mean, completely off your radar. I'd be like, okay, something's going on. Might be concerned. Do you think there'd be any radiation concerns in there?
Because that's one of the ones where if you don't have a meter, you can't check it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Right. Yeah.
But I think we can all agree that if I start the spidey senses of tingling, SCB goes on right away.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I might not have it on my face when I walk in there, but if I'm looking around and going, something's still, I might just go, all right, I'm calling the audible. Let's go in the air until we can figure this out. I don't give a shit if I even have people walking around inside and they're all walking around in, wife beaters and shorts and stuff like that. I don't care about them. I want to go home.
Right.
So I'll throw my SCBA until I get there. What are you doing? Oh, I'm just checking the air.
Just checking this out.
It's cool. It's cooler air. It's less humidified and,
make up the vapors.
Yeah, I'm going to swoon.
Well, Bob wears an SCBA when he gets his pedicures, right?
Yes, he does. He does. So true.
I don't blame him, because you can't spend too much time in there, but they're used to it. But that's the thing, is they may be used to it. It's something that they're just they're trying to make a buck, and they're doing their thing, and they're told to do their thing. And I'm with Bobby, man. I see something like that. It's my face piece is going on. This could turn into a real shit show.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Captain Chaos out there says, the smell. If you've ever been into a bio lab, the smell is very unique, I will say. I wouldn't say it's disagreeable, but I will say it is not pleasant.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you're right. I think, Mike and Bobby, the first responders for this are the ones that are really the ones that have the problem. If you're a hazmat person, you're keen to this stuff, but somebody going here and they don't have the stuff we have, their senses aren't going off, and they're like, well, this is odd. They might not take any precautions. That's the ones that always worry me, are the guys without the hazmat knowledge.
All right. So that brings what you just said is my sensor's not going off. And so there's going to be a lot of guys out there that are going to be like, well, I went to this building, my meter didn't speak to me, so therefore it's safe.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, whereas your spidey sense should be the sixth sensor and be like, wait a second, something's wrong. SCBA on, and call in the mothership to check it out. But I get it. Your meter doesn't talk to you, but it's only set up for 4 freaking things.
Exactly. You have to know what it's telling you as much as what it's not telling you.
Yes.
I mean, that's really important.
And I hate to say this, but it's in the ops review class we're teaching, we're finding more and more people are getting their meter training from a PowerPoint, or they're told when it beeps, get out. And that's it.
Right.
Now, I know mostly hazmat techs are the ones that watch our shows. So I think it's incumbent upon you guys, the hazmat techs out there, to pass on some of these nuggets to your ops people, because they are the ones that are going to be getting there first.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's so important to have guys like you who are there doing it actually training the firefighters. Like, you should never have another firefighter training or an operations guy training an operations guy.
Right.
It should always be a technician training an operations. We had a guy in a place that we worked at, and he was a regular operations guy, and he tried to teach hazmat operations, and it was beyond horrific. So yeah, you should always, a technician should always be teaching an ops level class.
Yeah. Just like Bobby says, keep your spidey senses aware.
Yeah. And like he says, Kevin K is just throwing a couple things in here that bio is not going to show up on all meters. That is absolutely true. That's why they have assays and stuff like that. And that's way more of a deeper thing than we're going to get into tonight. But, you're talking about stuff. What's that?
Good point.
Yeah. So, there's stuff out there that just keep your head on the swivel. If it doesn't feel right, this is probably one of the biggest things to tell the operation level guys. If you walk in someplace and you're like, you get the here's another New York one, skivats, right? You get the what the hell's going on here? Something doesn't feel right. Then throw your SCBA on. Air is free. Get on it, and then call in the hazmat tech. Fall back and just reevaluate, because some of this crap you breathe in. Holy cow! You could be dead in 2 breaths. Done.
Yep. Yeah. And that little beep never went off.
It never went off. It didn't even blink. So
didn't see nothing.
Didn't see nothing.
Didn't see nothing.
I was just going to say that probably the worst thing that could happen is that thing catches on fire.
Yeah.
That would be. Because we have a tendency after the fire to take our stuff off, and then we can't see what's going on, and then we're just like, wow. But it's you got to be careful of these clandestine labs and these suspicious things.
They're bad.
It's rare that you think of the word, you think of clandestine lab, right? And you think of RV, you think Breaking Bad, you think somebody's garage. You would never think BSL-2 setup. Clandestine lab, right? The thought would never cross your mind like that is a clandestine lab, but it's still, I mean, if it's not legit, it's clandestine. It could be a BSL-4. It's, Wuhan.
Yeah.
Hey, several years ago when my daughters were little, they were taking ballet. Their ballet teacher and her husband were cooking meth in the garage while the kids were doing ballet.
I love you.
That's great.
Did we?
You never know.
Pirouette and bump. Pirouette and bump.
Our guys went to a mattress fire, and when the smoke cleared, we found out the guy was making ricin. He had all the shit in the closet. So it was like, oh, look at that. That's not normal.
No.
So you gotta have intent. I'll be honest. What is a big thing that's coming up right now, and you can put this in your pipe, and is this is not where we were going, but is mushrooms. Everybody's doing it now, because the uncertainty of buying drugs today is so crazy with fentanyl that people are like, I can just grow my own mushrooms and take care of myself, and not even go to business. But what's the big deal with mushrooms? There really is nothing for you, the hazmat responder. But the thing is you're going to come into houses that have insane setups, and you're like, something's going on, SCBA on, and you'd be like, all right, well, there are different. We can come back to that in another run, but I think that you're going to be starting to see a lot more clandestine things, because the drug scene is so freaking crazy that people are doing their own shit in the house.
But you know what? Err on the side of caution. Right?
Yeah, why not?
We said, remember that whole 908 debacle, quote unquote debacle, and that we had where it was cleaner and it came up as MDX. Yep, we do. No, not throwing shade. But it's we are not there to make a decision. We're there to raise a red flag that there could be something wrong. And like Captain Chaos says, call in the subject matter experts. We are there as first responders to call in the people who can say for sure what's going on. It's not for us. Even a lot of the hazmat technicians, our job is to throw up red flags. It's not to confirm, and have a test that is the end all be all. We are just there to be like, something's not right. Someone needs to check it out.
Yep.
Well said.
We've almost gone too far in different directions.
Which brings us in a little segue. It was something Jay-Z said before that, you know, the situation at hand is evolving. I was saying, you know, I was just teaching in Santa Fe Springs some battery stuff, and I was saying that the one-dimensional fire that all four of us grew up in, where you crawl down a hallway, you get to the seat of the fire, you close the door, you search backwards. It is not that way anymore, and now batteries go off with a very distinctive sound, and so now you are surrounded with these mini bombs. And learning the sound, what that sound is, I think is going to be something that's probably school taught. But there was an interesting battery incident that, Bob, can you just explain it a little bit? I'll throw up some pictures while you do.
That was a great segue, by the way.
You like that? That's pro. That's professional level shit.
That's pro level right there, bro.
That's pro stuff.
That's pro level. So this happened over in our neck of the woods in the Tampa region, and to set the stage is there was a children's hospital. They had, and this is in social media, it's on news channels, all these pictures, and the pictures are provided by Hillsborough County. Just so disclaimer. So they had a children's hospital MRI room. The call came in as an electrical odor. So electrical odor response for most departments is a fire response.
Right.
You're not even thinking hazmat, right? So these batteries, which are the way it was described, were about 100 pounds, acid lead batteries. There was 100 of them, and 30 of them were swelling. These batteries are used for the MRI machine. If they lose power, obviously somebody's in the middle of it, they got to get them out, you know, so on and so forth. So they had this room full of these batteries. So apparently they were swelling so much that one of the descriptions was trying to get them out in a level A suit. And we're not questioning what they're wearing or any of that. But they initially went in with a level A suit, trying to pull, the way they explained it, a battery through your car hood that is only open a couple inches. And they had to get a pallet jack to come in. Good thinking on their part. They had one of their staff people brought it in, and then they placed these in a bath to help neutralize the acidic nature that was going on in the swelling of the batteries. So it was kind of some topics came out like, well, level A, fire gear, should they do level A first, then maybe drop down to fire gear when they weren't concerned about the acidic aspect, you know, and we're not here to debate all that right now. What we're here to talk about is came in as an electrical fire or electrical odor. So the point is that almost every, I'm going to go on the limb here and say almost every call anymore is a potential hazmat call with all the different things we're dealing with, especially fires, because you guys in New York, you guys are having 20, 30 fires a month easily, maybe a week with these lithium-ion batteries. And not that this was a lithium-ion battery, but a regular fire is not a regular fire anymore.
No, could be anything.
Could be anything.
I remember in the beginning of the battery saga, everything was lithium-ion. Everybody was lithium-ion. So like we would get to incidents and there would be batteries underwater, and they were like, we think it's lithium-ion. And all I would do is just come up with pH paper and just take my pH paper and put it in there. If it was red, it was lead acid. If it was blue, it was lithium-ion. Done. Like it's a kind of an easy thing because lithium ion is on the basic side of the scale, and it would trigger your pH to go on the blue. What I'm saying is, if it's 7 or below, it is not lithium ion. So, like, and that's an easy one. Like, that's like, oh, okay, just throw it in the garbage can. Like, I'm not saying it literally. California, hold your milk, California. But like in New York, we just throw that in a river. You know, that's not a big deal.
Yeah, that's why the Hudson is the way it is.
So they were lead acid. They were definitely lead acid batteries.
Yeah. So there was in the news reports they were saying lithium ion batteries, but if you looked at the picture, which I did some spidey sensing. Not spidey sensing. I don't want to take that term from Bobby. I did some Clouseau work, and the Duracell 12 volt that they were showing says lead acid.
Lead acid.
I could not find anything
a lot of times
like that for lithium.
Yeah, a lot of times with those types of batteries, once you disconnect the cell from the system,
it's done.
And you just have to let it cool. And you can test all of that with a thermal imaging camera. So from a hazmat point of view, even from a fire point of view, once it's disconnected, you've mitigated the hazard. You can stick around to confirm with your tick that temperatures are dropping and the reaction is subsiding. But, you don't have to go through the whole, gynecological exam of removing the battery through a small hole. You can just kind of sit and wait.
Yeah, and I know they were concerned at first that there was discussion. And again, we're not Monday morning quarterback. They still got to do an after action thing, which somebody told me that they actually did today, but I didn't get the update on that. But that basically it's because of there were some people that were feeling ill. They decided to remove the batteries out of the area, ventilate it for several hours. The whole incident was about 8 hours long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So were the interior guys in level A and these exterior guys? Because these look like MT-94s.
So the initial entry team was in level A with the flash protection. Mm-hmm. And then these are the 94s.
Were they in level A because of pH paper turning, or were they in level A as just
I think it's an initial recon.
Okay.
See what was going on.
Okay. Do you think that they were thinking lithium ion?
I'm not sure.
That's why their PPE was of that choice.
I'm not
because
sure.
of the what it's giving off.
I think a lot of people are unsure about what to do with this, and it is. There's currently all right. So take yourself out of the fire role. Let's say you're PD. You're the contractor cleaning this stuff up. What is your PPE of choice? And it's like, well, everybody's doing it in bunker gear, and the people in that industry are like, holy crap! They're $2,500 a pop. Plus SCBA, plus filling, plus you're talking about $4,000, $5,000 just to put a guy on the ground, right? And so if the issue is flammability and slight toxicity because the fire department should have taken it from emergency to non-emergency and outside, then you could probably get away with some type of respiratory device and like an FR Carhartt jumpsuit, and that's where I think a lot of these companies are going to go to is, and I'm not even going to say I'm looking at the crystal ball. Let's see.
What does it say?
It says in the future, people will be wearing FR to do batteries. That's amazing. How amazing the 8-ball is. But I will say, I think that I think responses are going to evolve for everybody but the fire department to some type of gear that's going to be lightweight, moderately flammable, and some type of respiratory protection to handle these things, because they should not be in an unsafe, let me say that differently. They should have been removed from the premise by the fire department using full firefighting PPE. I don't disagree with that. But the secondary action, the finishing action will be probably done with guys in dungarees and long sleeve cotton shirts and gloves with some type of respiratory module, and that will be the end of the operation. I see that as being something that's going to happen.
I like to label that as appropriate PPE or CPC.
Perfect.
It is appropriate. It's 100% appropriate
because what they did in the level A is not wrong. It's because we don't know the whole thing. So I think that they had their reasons for it. And hey, protect yourself, obviously. Yes.
Dude, but this is just like, when were you doing, remember when fentanyl first came out, and then everybody's like, you got to wear level A's because the DEA say level A's. Well, like the DEA's a bunch of retards.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you.
They were wearing level A for Ebola.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
The level A on the airplane, was that great or what?
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
We were at a IAAFF instructor development conference, and DuPont was there, and I think they just loved the idea that like everybody was backing level A for the fentanyl. This was years ago. This is 2015.
Oh, they were like, Yoshi, we're back.
Yeah, they're like, yeah. So I raised my hand and I said, do you guys have some kind of like underground level A distribution system? And she goes, no. I'm like, so I can't buy like level A's on like a black market or like something. And she's like, no. I'm like, okay, well, all the people who are cutting fentanyl into the drugs, are they wearing level A's when they're doing this? Because they seem to be fine. Why is it the cops are having a problem with this? If it's so deadly, you must be distributing level A's to the drug dealers. Like, who's training them? Who's doing this? And the room just went silent.
That'll be enough from you, Mr. Monaco.
Yes.
You can leave now.
Break.
But you know, we're talking about the same type of incident happened here in Orlando, where they had a tractor trailer with these batteries in it, and our team, there was some new guys on the team. I was not there, already retired, thank God. And I saw pictures of them in level A, and I'm texting the district commander like, what the hell is going on there, dude? Like, this is a tire fire, and these guys are climbing in the back of this semi in a level A suit. Have you guys lost your mind? And it was a new guy, and they were trying to, and no, that's not the time to coach.
I get the need for protection, but you need to, and that's why I asked if the meters went off. Yeah, and it has to be for a valid reason, right? Like, if they walked in and the pH paper went through the roof because the sulfuric acid was heating up in this battery and it was vaporizing, which is really the only time you're going to get sulfuric acid in the air because it has such a low vapor pressure to begin with, then that's what I was going to be like, all right, that's a good move, right? Like, you're going into an atmosphere in which your meters have told you, because you speak the language of your meters, have told you need to upgrade your PPE.
Exactly. And I think what they did, and again, we don't have all the facts, but just from what they posted and what was in the media and everything from their PIOs, I think it was almost like they were going down a certain route because they didn't know, and then they kind of backed off a little bit, which I don't have a problem with that initially.
I don't.
No, we don't know all we don't know all what went on. So, I'm sure they did what they consider was correct and right. And you know, I always look at it this way. You go to an HF environment in a level B non-encapsulated. That's wrong. That's wrong. You go into a sulfuric acid in a level A suit. Not wrong. Appropriate. It depends.
That's where I think a lot of people get into this. Well, if I do, I'm wrong, and if I don't, I'm right. And what's the parameters to this? And it's not. I don't think it's that hard of a decision tree, but at a certain point, like if you have the responsibility of putting, it's like a paramedic. If you have the responsibility of putting lethal doses of things into people, you better know your freaking job.
Yeah.
And there was a case, I want to say it was in New Jersey, that was a paramedic got arrested and put into court, and it was because he put in, like, if the correct dose was 1 milligram, he gave like 10 milligrams. It was a big screw up, and he sat on the stand, and it was like, there was a transcript of this, and he's like, they're like, how did you make the mistake? He goes, well, I got to get a 70 on my test to become a paramedic. He goes, so 30% of the time I could be wrong. This is one of the 30%. And that was it. He was out. And that was it. They were like, if you want me to be 100% correct, then make the test 100% correct. But you won't have any paramedics, basically.
Wow. That's a valid point.
It's a valid point. So at the same time, it's like, okay, I want you to understand how to pick your PPE, but you're going to have the B team out there as well. Yep. I get it. But, I don't think people are doing it in a incorrect way on purpose. I think they're just thinking, like, when in doubt, go level A.
Right.
Oh,
and I think
yeah.
it's discussions like this that open up that conversation. And I kind of feel it kind of feels shitty that we constantly have to be like, well, but we don't want a Monday morning quarterback, right? We don't want a Monday morning quarterback, but we also want to learn, but we can't learn without picking something apart and making a few assumptions. But we don't want to make somebody feel bad, but we want to understand better because nobody really fully understands what's going on. Like legit, like nobody really actually has can say 100% yes, like this is how you do it. It's all circumstance based. So if we can't talk about the circumstances and we can't make assumptions and then pick apart those assumptions for the process of learning, then we're in a bad spot.
True.
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely agree.
So screw them. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I really don't have a problem with what they're wearing. It's not what I would wear, but I wasn't there. First of all,
I would love to know why they decided to do what they did, and then the ability to have a cordial conversation as to whether or not that is something that I would have done in that situation. I think is super important for our community. We need to really get off this idea of like, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And it should be more the idea of like, hey, Bobs, do you think I did that right? Like, would you do something different? Because I so remember my first firehouse, every single job we would sit around the kitchen table and it wasn't what you did right.
What you did wrong.
It was what you did wrong. Yep, like, how 100%. Can I learn from my mistakes? And everybody would go around, including the captain. And this was a good house. And they wouldn't talk about what they did right. They talked about what they did wrong. How could they do better next time? What did I screw up? How did I think about this? How should I have thought about it? What I could have done better.
Right. And you know, the thing too is that we don't. And again, going back to their original run was an electrical call, electrical odor, fire, whatever. So that was the initial thing. And then from what I was reading afterwards was they were concerned with the acidic effects of the batteries, which is why I think they went level A, right, wrong, or different, and then they downgraded to what you saw there in the picture.
Right. And remember, it's never a problem until somebody actually gets hurt. Like the guy on our job who almost got hurt by the sulfuric acid on his shirt.
I remember that picture.
It's never a problem until somebody gets hurt. So, or heat stroke, like you put guys in a level A in Florida and, they go down 3 minutes later because it's 400% humidity.
They drown in their own sweat.
Right. They drown in their own sweat.
There is a wave of water that goes across the visor.
You should always have a thought process of what harm can getting into this level of PPE do to me, and is it balanced by the harm of the chemical?
Yep, absolutely.
Well, and you got to think about work cycles too. I mean, if you're, you could put people in these suits and whatever suit, pick your suit, whatever. But how many entries are they making? Especially if you have a smaller team. And this was a 9-hour call.
Yeah.
So you got to think about your team and is this correct? Is this right to do this? Because we're going to burn some guys through putting them in level A suits or whatever, level B encapsulated even.
Right. Like, I got to be honest with you, right? Like, I don't have an issue. Someplace like Florida, right? What was the temperature down there recently, Bob?
Heat index 104
Celsius.
Okay, what is effing hot.
Effing hot. Okay, so we do. I mean, yes, we have bunker gear. We have all this stuff. Why can't we turn around sometimes and be like, is this operation okay to do with no bunker gear? Like, can I do this wearing long pants and a long shirt? And I'm not saying it's appropriate for the situation in any way, shape, or form, but how come that's never a conversation? How come bunker gear is always the minimum PPE we wear? No matter what we do, we're always wearing bunker gear as a minimum PPE, and we very rarely downgrade from that.
And we actually had on our team Nomex jumpsuits that we would deal with a lot of things with a Nomex hood, gloves, and an SCBA if we needed to.
Never had them.
without having to do, ruining a set of gear or whatever the case may be.
We don't have.
I might have my old hazmat jumpsuit, but I don't think it was
have
Nomex.
mine.
Do you?
I do have mine.
You sleep in it.
I do. It is my romper.
It's his onesie.
As they say.
Yeah, you made shorts out of it and got a little nice V-neck on it right now.
What do they call it? Skorts. The skorts. We'll make them into skorts. Yeah.
Good stuff.
So I think this was a good episode. Good banter in the chat. As you can see, we throw some chats up on the screen. So by all means, throw your stuff there. But this is a good one because there was a lot of different topics covered. I think the battery one was pretty good with a PB discussion, and going forward, just the original one of the Wuhan Part 2.
Wuhan in America.
Yeah. So
Right
honestly, start thinking locally. Take that back with you. Put that on the kitchen table. Be like, what if this happened in your area? What are you going to do? And the cream rises to the top.
That's it.
Just you gotta be on top of your stuff, man. It's a little bit of effort for a lot of bit of gain. And if you got any ideas or interests or things you want to discuss on the show, reach out to us in one of our emails. There's a million of the emails that are out there, and send us some pictures, send us some stuff, maybe, or send us an idea, and we will discuss it and we'll talk about it on the show. So, thanks for coming out, and we'll see you soon.
And if you want to burn the shit out of something, go see Response.